This morning, the Board of Commissioners approved Board Order number 186-21 and declared a local state of emergency in Jackson County due to the imminent threat to the public health and safety of our citizens from activities related to the illegal production of cannabis in our county.
On Wednesday, October 13th, the Jackson County Board of Commissioners voted to declare a state of emergency regarding an increasing number of illegal cannabis farms in the area. The commissioners are asking for state assistance to combat the illegal grows, which further strain our already limited water supply, sheriff's office, and code enforcement.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner Dyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Dyer?
Yes. This morning, the Board of Commissioners approved Board Order number 186-21 and declared a local state of emergency in Jackson County due to the imminent threat to the public health and safety of our citizens from activities related to the illegal production of cannabis in our county. So since recreational marijuana was legalized by the voters of Oregon at the November 2014 general election, the illegal and unlawful production of marijuana in our county has overwhelmed the ability of our county and state regulators to enforce relevant laws in our community. Law enforcement in Jackson County reports a 59% increase in calls for service associated with the marijuana industry, including burglary, theft, assault, robbery, and nuisance crimes. And there's also significant evidence of narco slavery, forced labor, human trafficking, immigration issues, squalid and unsafe living conditions, and exploitation and abuse of workers, child welfare issues, and animal abuse. And also there's been a significant increase in the number of cases and amount of marijuana transported out of Jackson County and out of our state. The county's code enforcement resources to enforce relevant county codes have been overwhelmed as well. Such that citations, which took 3 weeks to resolve prior to 2014, now take 4 months or longer. To illustrate this problem, in 2015, code enforcement had 604 code enforcement cases. 0 were marijuana related. In 2016, we had 902 code enforcement cases to work, 333 of which were marijuana related, which is 37%. In 2021 through September, we've had 1,006 code enforcement cases, 663 of which have been marijuana related. That projects to 1,509 cases, 980 of which are marijuana related. So this has completely overwhelmed our code enforcement process. Some of the common complaints to code enforcement have been the proliferation of legal greenhouse and hoop houses, illegal grading that causes unchecked erosion, significant environmental damage, and impacts to adjacent properties. There's been illegal and uninspected electrical work that creates fire hazards in our vulnerable rural areas, and many more health, safety, and quality of life concerns to neighboring properties and county residents in general. And in our current declared drought emergency, local representatives of the State Water Resources Department report that they're unable to take any action on nearly 1/3 of the complaints they receive, which include water theft and other offenses that exacerbate the water shortage and put existing water rights in jeopardy. Water complaints have increased from 39 in 2015 to a projected 275 in 2021. That's a 700% increase, while the number of water resource representatives have increased by only 1/2 of an FTE, from 3.5 to 4. As a result of this, out of the 195 complaints in 2021 so far, only 82 have not been able to be pursued. As the need for our resource to address these issues has expanded exponentially, our ability to generate the revenue needed locally and state revenue sharing has been steadily eroded and stripped away by state action. In March 2015 special election, the voters of Jackson County overwhelmingly approved the ballot measure referred by the Board of Commissioners with a 62.93% of the voters voting in favor of taxes on the production up to 25%, on production and up to 25% on the retail sale of marijuana in the county. Subsequently, the Oregon legislature enacted and Governor Brown signed Oregon House Bill 3400, portion of which prohibited local governments from enacting any tax or fee on the production, processing, or sale of marijuana, except for a local tax capped at 3% on only the retail sale of recreational marijuana, thus substantially limiting the amount of revenue for enforcement activities that could be generated at the local level. House Bill 3400 also established a statewide tax on the retail sale of marijuana, and from the proceeds of which a portion was to be distributed to local government in Oregon to provide revenue to deal with the ongoing impacts of the marijuana industry. A statewide revenue sharing distribution formula was devised that favored the more populated areas with greater retail activity and failed to adequately compensate counties like Jackson and Josephine that experienced greater production volume and enforcement needs. Under this formula, prior to January 1st, 2021, Jackson County received an average of approximately $700,000 per quarter in revenue for each of the previous 4 quarters as its share of the distribution of statewide taxes on the retail sale of marijuana. In the November 2020 general election, the voters of Oregon passed ballot measure 110, which amended these provisions and dramatically reduced Jackson County's share of the proceeds from the statewide tax. The first distribution of Jackson County's share of the proceeds under the new provisions was reduced to $213,510 from $811,927, which was the last payment prior to the effective date of ballot measure 110. That's nearly a 75% reduction, which further widened the gap between the resources needed and assistance received. In 2021, the Oregon legislature enacted House Bill 3000, which made certain revisions to the state law governing the production and sale of cannabis in the state of Oregon, including making the production of cannabis without an appropriate registration or license issued by the state of Oregon a crime, providing the Oregon Liquor Control Commission, OLCC, and Oregon Department of Agriculture the authority to inspect cannabis production sites within the jurisdiction of the other agency. Provided monetary grants to local governments related to enforcement of laws related to the production of cannabis as well. Under the provisions of House Bill 3000, this year the OLCC and Oregon Department of Agriculture tested plants at 212 of the 335 registered hemp grows in Jackson and Josephine County. 54% of the farms licensed, 54% of the farms licensed to grow hemp that were inspected by state officials were found to be growing illegal marijuana. There were another 76 farms that declined to allow inspectors on the property, and another 23 farms where inspectors were unable to make contact. It is believed there are at least, again, as many unregistered grows in the region as registered grows with no current provisions under House Bill 3000. So the depth of the problem is clear, and the provisions of House Bill 3000 have provided us with an apparatus to address some of these enforcement issues, but has failed to provide any directed and ongoing revenue to Jackson County for the issues Jackson County is facing related to the impacts of the production of marijuana in the county. As you can clearly see, Jackson County needs substantial state assistance immediately to address this ongoing emergency. The county shall request the assistance of the state of Oregon through Governor Brown and the Oregon legislature to provide the revenue and resources necessary, including but not limited to code enforcement staff needs to triple in size from 3 officers to 9 officers in order to handle the added workload due to cannabis related activities. Our hearing officer panel needs at least 2 additional hearing officers to adjudicate the volume of citations issued by code enforcement officers. Nathan Sickler, Jackson County Sheriff, estimates an additional 18 detectives, 4 patrol deputies, 3 supervisors, and 9 support staff, along with approximately $750,000 in materials and services per year, are urgently needed to address the crimes related to illegal marijuana production. Based on current caseload, the State Water Resources Department needs to assign another 3 full-time equivalent positions dedicated solely to investigating water-related complaints and to handle their current caseload. And finally, OHA, and OLCC need a substantial infusion of additional staff and resources to begin investigating and enforcing state law related to unlicensed and unregistered hemp and marijuana grows, as well as those grows operating unlawfully.